And brief. We're back. It's been a wonderful Saturday. What a weekend this is set up to be. Wherever you were today, I hope you now have a smile on your face after the results, plural, that have been announced today. Max Dowman, we need to talk. Arsenal winning, we need to talk. Are Arsenal now about to win the title? We're going to talk. Manchester City dropping more points. Thank you, West Ham. We're going to talk. And it's exhausting. It's elation. I'm buzzing. The whole place was buzzing. The atmosphere was incredible. And I don't know where to start. So I'm going to say to people, do me a favor. Hit like, hit subscribe. Make sure you're following OK Jersey. The code is Lee. You'll get 8% off all jerseys. The World Cup jerseys are now out. The link's in the description. So make sure you're showing them some love. And I'm going to hand over to judges because I don't even know where to start, Lee. Talk to me, bruv, please.
Well, you got to start with the boy wonder, haven't you? You know, Max Dowman, absolutely unbelievable when he come on. Just listening to it on what, as you said, on Match of the Day, could have brought Jesus on in that game. They could have gone that way, but I think his performance at Mansfield, I think, helped him out. I do, and that performance today, that 20 minutes that he come on is just could be the biggest 20 minutes of Arsenal's history for a very, very long while, because we was banging on the door. It weren't happening. You're looking around at big players. I'm looking at Saka, weren't happening. I'm looking at Gyökeres, it weren't happening. I'm looking at Martinelli, weren't happening. I'm looking at Havertz, it weren't happening. You know, before Madueke, it weren't happening. And then on comes this 16-year-old kid and just does what we all dream of probably being able to do. It's as simple as that, like, you know what I mean? The goal I've seen, I didn't think it was as good as what it was until I see it. Like, what, you know what I mean?
Unbelievable.
Unbelievable, like, bit of skill. And, you know, big up to Martinelli as well, because I know that he was going to score anyway, but Martinelli, you know, just ran across the defender as well. All that sort of stuff's good. You know what I mean? But, you know, the best thing about it for me was all the substitutes ran to him. You know what I mean? Like, Ben White would have been disappointed that Mascara got in front of him, like, for that game. Like, Jesus would have been a little bit disappointed he ain't got on. No one cared. They was all in it together. And listen, unbelievable. But I'm going to say a big up to a couple of people as well. Like, you know, Calafiori, probably the best goal line clearance I've seen in my life. You know what I mean? Like, unbelievable. I didn't realise how good that was until I just seen it. And of course, Declan Rice was, well, just being Declan Rice, unbelievable. Like, you know, and tell you what, boys, we done that despite the filth, and I call it the filth of a referee, absolute filth. You know what I mean? These referees are ruining football. You know what I mean? How is that not a penalty? I'll never know. How has VAR not got involved with it? I'll never know. And then in the second half, I don't know who it was, kicks Mascara, and he gives a free kick. You know what I mean? Scandalous refereeing today. But who cares, you corrupting little lots? I don't care. You know what I mean? Like, at the end of it, we got the result. I can't stand these referees. They're so poor. And that today was a shocker. But it didn't cause us any problems, like, you know. But it's about a 16-year-old kid. I'm going to be really honest with you. As soon as we're off of here, I'm going to watch it again and again and again and again.
Mate, do you know what it is? I watched it and I watched it again and again. And I don't think people understand how much he has to do there. It ain't just, oh, Pickford's out of his goal, I'll just go tap it in. Watch it again. Martinelli, by the way, big up to him for the header, because that was superb from him, right? And then obviously Max Dowman does the rest. I'll come to you next, Russ. Talk to me, brother. How was you? I saw you after the game. You was elated. Talk to me, mate.
Yeah, elated. Can I just give a shout out to a few people we met in the pub before the game? They came over from Ireland. There was Audrey, Noel, Ronan. Yeah, just give them a big shout out because they were watching the Ireland-Scotland game, rugby in the pub, and they were all up for it. And lovely people. Nice to meet you all. Wow, I mean, 75 minutes we were going nowhere, were we? We were just struggling to break them down. Fair play to Everton. They really put a shift in. A few of their players like Garner, I'm really impressed with Garner. I think he's only sort of really come into the team this year. Really, really tidy midfield player. The winger and Dyes really, really tidy. Beto held the line well. They're a good side, well coached. A typical David Moyes side, dogged, well organised, and really difficult to contain on the counter attack as well at times. So, yeah, it was a nervous 75 minutes. But wow, when Dowman came on, there was just a change in the mood straight away because people get off their seat as soon as he's on the ball. From that throw in, I mean, he won that throw in and then he reacted really quick and put that ball in. We've been missing that all game, that instantaneous ball in. Instead of waiting, looking, just put the ball in. And Pickford made a bit of a cow's arse of it. And then Caprio was up there. What he was doing on the edge of the 6-yard box, I don't know from that position, but he was there. And then Gyökeres does the business. That's for you, Kenny Ken, by the way. 50, you shouldn't be doing that, but I'm going to do it because I'm not proud. That's for you, Kenny. Yeah, so Johnny on the spot, he gets the goal. That's what we bought him for. He was alive and he scored it. And I've never, ever felt such an upwelling of joy as greeted that goal. It was a moment of beauty. It was cathartic. It was all them words you can think of. It was just a moment of pure joy. 87 minutes of purgatory. And then all of a sudden we get the breakthrough goal. And then the icing on the cake was just to see that young man do what he did, that little touch. Me and Lee just watched it on Match of the Day, didn't we, Lee?
Yeah.
A little touch, a little shimmy, and away he went. And as you said, Martinelli, full praise because he just blocked the runner. And the speed of him, just incredible. What a player we've got on our hands there. I know we can go overboard with young players sometimes, but I'm just so thrilled we've got this bloke playing for us. He's a game changer. He's what we've been crying out for a few years. And, yeah, over the moon. And then the City result, just icing on the cake. Are they bottling it, by the way?
They won't be told they are, and Haaland won't get a mention about his bad performance, but Gyökeres would. I don't think they'll get any media coverage again tomorrow because it's City. You know, they did the 4-peat. Don't matter. City's Pep. He can't be touched. That's what it will be. But look, I hope Dowman gets applauded. Aid, Arteta, brilliant substitutes. It's got to be said. He brought them on. They all pretty much did something. Nketiah, Mosquera, Dowman, and Gyökeres all involved. Brilliant subs. You got to say fair play to him, mate.
Absolutely. Brave. Very brave. You know, Jesus is sitting there and he's just seen a 15-year-old, 16-year-old coming on in front of him. Just shows how much Arteta believes in this young man. But Premier Leagues and titles and big cup competitions, they're all won on big moments, aren't they? And when Havertz went over and they're not given that penalty, I'm like, oh my God, that's a moment where it should have been given, wasn't. You know, is that going to derail us? And if, you know, this young lad comes on, as well as all the other subs, but, you know, he's going to take the plaudits and too bloody right as well. He comes on, delivers a great ball in, and keep it brilliant, really, with a header. And then Gyökeres puts it in. And then, like Russ said, icing on the cake. He's gone 75 yards with that ball. You know, he's headed it past. And like you said, that last bit of skill at the end, most players, 9 out of 10 players would have gone on the outside there and could possibly have been tackled, but he didn't. He come inside and then he was away in on goal. And, yeah, defining moments. And for me, that is a big defining moment for us. Fingers crossed. Not saying we've done it, but that's a big defining moment for Arsenal Football Club and you know, the pursuit of this title. You know, it's really close now. And then obviously West Ham doing the business as well. So not going to say we've done it because we certainly haven't, but we are closer than ever now. And thanks to a 16-year-old coming on. I mean, God, he's got to go to school Monday. My God, unbelievable. Yeah. So good. What a player, though. What a player. Not just what he did for the goal. He's that good. Even at Mansfield, he ran the show, didn't he? He's a generational talent, this boy. Just hope he doesn't do a Wiltshire and all that lot and get injured, and then his career goes down a pan. Arsenal got to look after him.
Yeah, we have to wrap him in bubble wrap for me. We do have a friend in the chat, Lee, a Spurs fan who we all know, Ronnie. He says, we got lucky. Everton deserved the point. It looks like we now have the worst team in Premier League history to win the league. Ronnie, keep crying. Try and stay in the league. Try and beat Liverpool.
Cry me
worry
a
about us.
And you'd know all about the worst teams in the league, wouldn't you, Ronnie? You know what I mean? That's what I'll say to that.
Cry me
It's
a river.
incredible. It really is. Look,
Great point for West Ham, by the way. Great
yeah,
point.
let's talk about that, Lee, quick, because that deserves a mention. Mavropanos, by the way, deserves a mention. Player of the match, ex Arsenal. And look, I didn't expect it. I've got to be honest. At 82 minutes, I'm thinking we're going to draw this here. What the hell is City going to do later? I was convinced they're going to win. And I've got to be honest, man, that was well thought out. 25 shots, 16 corners Manchester City had. They missed Haaland's stinker. He missed from about 6 yards out. And they take a point, and we're now 9 points clear. And they've got a game in hand. But let's be real. It's 9 points clear on the board right now.
Yeah, listen, we was watching it in the pub, and me and Russ turned around and said, let's not put ourselves for. I've had enough agony for the day, you know what I mean? I really had, with our game. And I said to Russ, I don't want to be put through this again, watching this second half. And he agreed, and we said, right, come on, let's make the move home. We got talking to some lovely guys from Bishop Stortford in on the train, and sort of that took our mind off of it a little bit, didn't it, Russ? And then we see someone watching the game, and they said, there's 10 minutes to go, and it's still 1-1. And Russ said, don't you dare touch your phone. You know what I mean? So I said, all right, I won't. So we're walking up, and then I said, Russ, my phone's going off like mad. So I said, I've got to have a look at it. And of course, I looked at it, and it was all going, that it had finished 1-1. But listen, I don't know if the game, us winning and the way we won, affected that. We never know, but the last two games now have been massive. You know what I mean? We've somehow got over the line against Brighton and today, and they've dropped 4 points. And that 4 points is massive as far as I'm concerned now. I do think that their next game down is Chelsea away. Yeah. I want Chelsea to win 2 games of football to the end of the season. That's that one and Spurs. So listen, if Chelsea can get something, listen, Chelsea lost apparently today to Newcastle at home. So their Champions League aspirations are on a knife thread now. So listen, it's magnificent from our point of view, and we've all said it all along. And the frustration is for me is that I've known that City are not that good. They're that's the wrong thing to say. They're not as good as what they were. We're near that. We are the better team. We are the better squad, and what I think people ain't really putting onto their last 2 games are Nottingham Forest and West Ham, 3rd from bottom and 4th from bottom, and they've not beaten them. If we'd be doing that, it would be like bottle jobs, bottle this. You can't beat in the bottom teams and all that. Every single game, as me and Russ were saying when we come home, is tough now. That Everton side today had players in there that could hurt you. They also had a team that could defend. And like West Ham today, I haven't watched it yet. I'm going to watch it, as I say, in a minute. Have had to defend for their lives today. And they're fighting for their lives. They're fighting for their Premier League status. We spoke to West Ham Paul on the way home, who had been at the game today, And from a West Ham point of view, you know what I mean? They're delighted with a point, guys, because that's a point that may be enough. They may stay up by a point. A point at Man City is a fantastic result for them. It's great for us, but great for them as well. So listen, at the end of the day, Spurs could be level on the same points as West Ham. At the end of it, that game next week, Nottingham Forest and Tottenham. I know we got the cup final that day, but I might have to watch that somewhere, Dan. I might have to have a little watch of that.
We might have to, mate. We might have to see what happens at the bottom of the table as well. Russ, I don't know what you thought about today and what that does for Man City and Arsenal in this title race, but Pep Guardiola apparently says that the title pretty much done. Arsenal won it, apparently, according to press conferences that I've just seen.
No, it's never over till it's over, is it? It's mathematically impossible. So you don't go doing a Spursy thing and screaming and shouting before you've actually won it. So I won't get drawn into that. No way, Jose, will I get drawn into that. But one thing it does show you is when we're all doing our pre-match predictions, football is not a predictable sport. You would think that West Ham would lose to Manchester City. You would think Nottingham Forest 2-0 down or 2-1 down with a few minutes to go would lose. But they don't. These things happen in football. And we could have got beat today, but for the width of the post in the first half. We could have got beat 1-0 because 1-0 down, that's a completely different game. And that's how difficult this Premier League is to win. It's not easy. And when people are calling us out for being boring and being pragmatic and stuff like that, I don't give a flying fig, because at the end of the day, it's who is the best team over the whole 30. I didn't swear there. Did you see what I did there? You don't get lucky for 38 games. Let's be honest. You don't get lucky. You are the best. We're always told the best team wins it over 38 games. So some of these rivals are going to have to suck it up. They're going to have to suck it up, because if we do get over the line, we have been the best team over the 38 games. So there's a lot of people, the Cundies on TalkSport and the O'Haras and the Abby Summers, all these haters online who have been at it in for us all year, saying we're boring and saying we're this and saying that. As I keep saying, it takes two to tango. It's not Arsenal's fault that the Premier League's boring. 6 games this year, four clear goal victories, and 2 of them have been us. So what's happening to the rest of the Premier League? It's so exciting when we're not playing. You know, it's just this agenda. It really does make me sick. It really does make me sick. And the quicker we can get this over and done with and get it won, and then we can go and really boil some piss next year and win it again. Because that's what we've really got to do. Boil some real boiling. Yeah.
You swore now.
That's my little rant over.
No, you've done well there, Russ. You've done well. You're speaking facts, mate. Aid, what do you think this will do this weekend? Do you think this will be pivotal? Do you think we'll look back at this weekend and say that this was the weekend, or do you think it's a bit too early yet?
Well, like I said, it's defining moments. It's definitely a moment, isn't it? But again, you know, we haven't won the league for 20 odd years, so it's. I'm not going to come out and say we've done it, but it's a big weekend. So it's a huge day today. Huge day today. You know, and you know, going to the cup final as well. You know, we've got momentum going into that now. Have we got one more game before the final?
Leverkusen on Tuesday, yeah.
Yeah, so we've got to get that over the line. And obviously, the City got Madrid, haven't they? So, yeah, it's huge today, like massively huge. You know, 9 points is a massive gap. And when they play that game in hand, you know, they lose that game in hand, then you know you're pretty much there, aren't you? But we're not there. Like Russ said, you know, people can say what the hell they like, where we're boring, whatever. We've scored over 100 goals this season, by the way, in all competitions. Can't be that boring. At the end of the day, we're the ones up there. Everyone wants to shoot us down because we haven't won it for so long. We haven't won it the last couple of seasons where we've been close. So that's just like, yeah, get it over the line. And then, you know, I think we will all, if we do it, we're all going to look back at this weekend and say that was a massive moment for us.
Yeah, facts. Lee, Max Dowman, does he need to now start playing more? Do we need to see more minutes from him? Does he need to come on for the last 20 minutes? Because as far as I'm concerned, he was the most exciting player and has been the most exciting player for the majority of this season when he's either been a part of it starting pre-season or coming on. And we don't win this game today without him. And I think now we need to use him. I think we do. I think then the next sort of half hour, 20 minutes, I think he needs to be bringing him on. Because I know he's young, but if you're good enough, you're old enough, Lee.
No, definitely. Like, you know what I mean? He's proved that today. You know what I mean? He's a weapon for us. You know what I mean? Like, but I wouldn't be starting him games as much as I love him and all that. Like, you know what I mean? At this moment in time, the next game he starts is Southampton in the FA Cup if he starts that one. But 20 minutes from the end, when the game is a little bit more open up or a little bit tired and all that, like, why not? Why not? The thing that what I like about him is exciting. Is when you're young like that, the pressure isn't there, like, you know, like it is for other players. You know what I mean? And you could see that in his performance today. He wasn't afraid of doing anything, like, you know. And also, what I do like about him, and it's not an arrogance thing, is that he's confident in his ability. He knows that when he walks on that pitch, he can beat people. He knows what he can do. You know, it doesn't matter if they're professional players or youth team players. He knows that he can beat them. He knows what he can do, and that is a big confidence thing for him. The other thing that I will say, which I think goes under the radar with him a little bit, is that the players around him, the Declan Rices, the Zubimindis, and all that, are not afraid to pass him the ball, give him the ball.
Yeah.
If you ever look at the goal today, it's the quick throw to him. You know what I mean? Like, there's none of this, oh, we've set it up and all that. Like, he's called for it, and I can't remember who threw it to him. Like, he's confident enough to throw it to him and let him have it. Like, I think it's Mascara was quick enough just to give it to him, and that gives him the chance. So it's not like he's just coming on there to make up the numbers, or he's there to do this or do that. He is there because the players trust him. The players know that he's good enough, even at his age. The feeling he must have when he walks off that pitch, and you know, a big up to Mikel for taking that tunnel down, like, because that must have been a sensational moment for him. I don't know if I stayed in the stadium and all that, like that side of the goal of the ground was still packed. So when he went down into the tunnel, everybody was going mad. It was a fantastic moment. And, you know, listen, I've been very fortunate to meet his mum and dad on a few occasions, speaking to him at Mansfield and his brother as well. How they must be feeling today must be like unreal. I was speaking to them, funny enough, and they said, "Oh, he's got to get 3 more games to get a medal if they win it. You know, you've got to play 5 games now." And they asked me a question, and I said, "Do you think that he'll get them?" Like, you know. And I said, "Yeah, well, you know, it's a tough, you know what I mean, thing and all that. Like, let me tell you now, he's definitely getting those appearances now. Like, you know what I mean? That is it." So for me, I think that, listen, we're all, me and Russ are a little bit older than you two guys and everything like that. But I've seen some wonderful young players at Arsenal at 16, 17, 18. You know what I mean? Like, from Liam Brady to Jack Wilshere to Fabregas, you know, but he's up there. He's on that table. He's on the tables of the Liam Bradys.
Is it fair to say, Lee, because I said this, and I don't know if you agree, because you go back further than me and Russ does as well. I know those names you've mentioned. Were any of them as good as Max Dowman at 15? Because I don't think they were. Saka definitely wasn't. Wilshere definitely wasn't. Max Dowman, for me, is the best I've seen at that age. And he might not go on to be unbelievable. We've seen Ravel Morrison not do it, right? And he was unbelievable at 15. Yeah. There were other players that have gone on to do brilliant things. I have not seen a 15-year-old. Well, he was 13, 14 when I first saw him, and I thought, he looked pretty good. I never, ever thought that I would see him at 15 in the Arsenal side. And I think he is better than Wilshere's and Saka's. And I've got to go back to the ones I knew at Ashley Cole level, and, you know, the likes of Tony Adams and you know, Super Kevin Campbell and Paul Merson and Rocky and all this. I don't think any of them at 15 were this good, Lee. I've got to be honest.
Well, no, listen, funny enough, you didn't see players at 15 back in the day, like, you know what I mean? It wasn't there. It was a different, It was a different game, you know what I mean? Like, from that point of view. But you listen, I see Paul Merson at 17, 18 when he first played, and he was exciting, right? I thought, he's going to be a player. I don't remember, you know, as a kid growing up, Liam Brady was just this unbelievable footballer, like, you know, as a kid. So I don't really appreciate what I know now and whatever, like, you know what I mean? But Tony Adams was only 17, but, you know, it doesn't happen that often. It doesn't happen.
It's rare. It's rare, isn't it? It's rare.
It's rare for it to happen. But I see a kid at 16 in Wayne Rooney.
Yeah.
And when I see him at 16, I thought, wow, this is unbelievable player.
Same.
And then at 16, he went to, do you remember he went to the Euros? I think it was 2004, in Portugal. If he didn't get injured, England would have won that tournament. That's how good he was, right?
Yeah.
I haven't seen anything better since, right? I would say that the best player I've seen at 16, along with Rooney, is Cesc Fabregas. I've not seen anybody boss a midfield like he does at 16, 17. But this kid's different.
100%.
If you would say to me, well, what was wrong with Rooney? It was that he couldn't stay fit to a certain degree and whatever, and fitness was an issue with him, right? If you looked at Fabregas, you would say that brilliant player, everything there, but he wasn't the quickest, right? This kid's fast. He's got skills. He's got awareness. He's making the right decisions at 16 on the ball and all that. He is as good as anything that I've seen, And listen, we've got a problem now because what I've seen today and what I've seen of Rooney are very, very similar, right? And England will be looking at this.
Yeah. Rooney can carry the ball like Max Dowman does, though. The way Max Dowman carries the ball is
no. Rooney was more powerful, wasn't he? You know what I mean? And like
goal machine.
Goal machine, like, you know what I mean? Let's listen, you know what I mean? But when I see him at 16, you remember he could take players on, beat players. I think like people don't remember that he could do that. I think that he become a little bit more of a player or whatever. Like, listen, Wayne Rooney's one of the best players I've ever seen. Let's be honest, English players, should I say? I think that we've got a problem. I think if he plays the next 2 or 3 games and plays like that, we've got a problem because I don't want him going to the World Cup. If I'll be really honest, but
I don't think he will, Lee. I don't think he will.
Listen. They were saying that about Rooney, and he went and he conquered. You know what I mean? Like, so I'm not so sure, Dan, what I've seen today. I think if he finishes the season, if he comes in and play, you know what I mean? We're talking this one with Russ. We were just saying now, do you think he'll be in the cup final squad? Yeah, I think he will be. I think he's going to be in a cup final.
100%.
At 16. I think that he could be the guy. I know this is big pressure. Because I was saying to my mate today, we haven't got any match winners at this moment in time up front that are going to. What I was saying, there's no one in that team that's going to take the ball and beat 3 players and score a goal or do something magical. Something magical. Do you remember when we were struggling against Liverpool back in the day going to the title? Henry just went through 3 or 4 players, got hat-tricks. Do you remember that sort of game? We haven't got Eze, not this kid just went and done that. Just went and done that today. And for me, I'm looking at a lot of players that are like, let's be really honest in England at this moment in time. Saka's fallen off a cliff. Nowhere near at the levels that he was a year ago. I'm going to be honest, he isn't since his injury. Foden, nowhere near at the levels that he was. Cole Palmer, nowhere near at the levels that he was. This kid's coming along at the right time.
Bellingham as well, to be fair.
Bellingham as well. This kid's coming along when a lot of these players, I would say this time last season, if he was doing what he's doing there, no chance, because I've just mentioned all those players were on fire. None of them are now.
Mm.
If Saka carries on the way he is, by the way, you know what I mean, he'd be lucky to get on the plane.
Yeah, he's had a stinker again today, and let's just say how it is. Unfortunately, this lad needs dropping at the moment. He's just not.
Morgan
quite
Rogers
right.
has dropped off a little bit as well, Dan. By the way, as Chris just
agreed.
said there.
Agreed. I'm a big fan of Rogers.
But he just dropped off a little bit.
He's dropped off, and then you've got Eze, who people would say would come after that, and he's been pretty poor as well. So I've got to be honest. Yeah, England do it. I thought we were going to win this World Cup because of the quality. None of them are playing well enough at all. Yeah. And if Harry Kane gets injured, well, you got no one, literally. So yeah, I don't know. We'll see. We'll worry about England in the summer. But you've got a great point there about Max Dowman. I don't think Tuchel will choose him, But you're right to say that right now he's outperforming in the last couple of games some of the players that have been playing for weeks that have been poor. I've seen more glimpses of quality in Max Dowman's play in the last 2 games than I have in Saka in the last 2 months.
Bear in mind, he's been out for a while, injured as well, hasn't he?
He has been. Back. He has been. And this is the thing, we have got to look after him. We don't want to be hyping him up too much. I'm with Lee. But I think he could be, and I was asked by Sophie on the Highbury squad this question. I'll put this to you, Russ, right? I think I was with you, Lee, and they said, who do you think is going to be the one player that we rely upon between now and the last few months of the season? And I said, funnily enough, one of the match winners I think could be Mikel Merino. Now, he's then got injured. I said, so it won't be him now. It might have to be Kai Havertz. I don't think it's going to be. I think it's going to be Max Dowman, Russ. I think it actually might be Max Dowman.
Yeah, there's a big difference between Dowman and some of the other players you mentioned. One is his youth, but he doesn't just depend on speed and physicality. He's a bit of a hybrid of everything, isn't he? And when you talk about other players like Fabregas and Walcott was just blessed with blistering pace, but as a footballing brain, he never had a footballing brain, did he? I think this lad's got a footballing brain in his head. Seems to make the right decisions. Fabregas was obviously playing more in the central role and sort of running the game with the game in front of him, which he did brilliantly at a very young age. I don't know if you remember that game when we played Juventus and Patrick Vieira came back and he actually run rings around Vieira in the middle of the park. And Vieira come off the pitch shaking his head. He just couldn't get anywhere near him. And I think we ended up winning that game 3-1. And so there's different types of players. But I remember Brady making his debut and playing. He was never as good as this. He was never as impactful as this. He took quite a few years, quite a few appearances before he started to stamp himself onto the game. And this fella is just like, he's a revolution. He's like inspirational to me. Very rarely you get a player, when he comes on, you think, something's going to happen now. I get a little bit of that with Noni Madueke. I get a little bit of that vibe with Noni because he will take a player on. And he's not so much of a robot as the rest of them are, because the Premiership has become very robotic. So it's a breath of fresh air to see players that want to do something out of the ordinary and take people on and take a risk losing the ball high up the park and do something special. I mean, that ball he put in, it all depended on the quickness of it, being awake and doing it immediately. As I said to you on several of these podcasts, half a second is a massive amount of space and time you waste if you don't deliver or you don't take a player on or you don't pass the ball quick enough. As soon as you stand on the ball, like Raya does or like Saliba does, if you stand, I call it stand on the ball. They're not standing on the ball, but you know what I'm saying? They're taking too many touches and they're slowing the ball down. That creates a big problem. Yeah, I understand it can draw players towards you and you can make space behind them. But these teams are too well coached now. So you've got to be making your decisions really, really quick. And that's what impresses me with Max, is the fact that he can get the ball out of his feet and he can make a quick decision. And that ball, I mean, that done Pickford up all ends up. The speed of it, the height of it, the whip of it. And then we had a player on who's gambled in Capia to be in that spot on the 6-yard box, a left back. People say we're boring. We've got our left back on the 6-yard box in the 87th minute of the game. We're boring. And Gyökeres has put the ball away. So it's those little moments that make me think, yeah, we've got a special player in Dowman. And as we said, when he got that goal, that was just the icing on the cake, because it just shows you what he's all about. And his pace is incredible. He's not just all about pace, though. That's the thing. My point I'm trying to get across is that he's a very talented footballer, and he can see the game, as Lee would have probably alluded to in the past. He sees the picture, don't he? He sees the picture in his head quick, and that is a massive advantage in modern professional football. Is if they can see that picture really quick, and they can deliver that ball, that can take 4 or 5 players out of the game, and I'm just really excited about watching him play. I'm really looking forward to the day when he's playing from the start and we're winning more trophies with him, because I think he's one of them players that will help us win trophies in the future. I really do.
Yeah, I totally agree with you, Russ. I really do. And something I also agree with Aid in the chat is someone we ain't mentioned yet who we got to thank today, and that's David Raya. Because today it will all be about Max Dowman and it'll all be about players who did well. But I thought David Raya kept us in this game today. And for me, until Max Dowman came on and did what he did, I thought he was easily the man of the match, David Raya. I agree with Lee. I thought Declan Rice was really good, particularly in the last 20 minutes. But for me, David Raya this season has easily kept us in games. And I think at a bit of a shaky few moments when we had that Wolves and Brentford draws, then he came back against Spurs and he's come back against Chelsea. He's come back now in the last couple of games and I think he's been one of our best players. And I think we are so lucky to have David Raya, Aid. I think he's been outstanding for us. We all remember when we signed him, we all eyebrows raised and thought, wow, is Ramsdale really that bad? Well, he's levels on Ramsdale. Let's just say how it is. He's been absolutely outstanding.
One of Arteta's best calls he's made. A real tough one as well, because Ramsdale's no slouch, is he? He kept us in game. Remember them saves at Leicester and how good he was.
Yeah.
And Ramsdale deserved his place in our side. And then obviously, Raya's come in, and then he had them two stingers, didn't he? Where he got lobbed at Chelsea, and everyone's like, "Why, why is he doing this?" But you know what? Fair play to Arteta. He knew what he wanted. He knew what this guy could do, and. Look, I'm going to throw it out there. He's the best goalkeeper in the league. And what the difference between goalkeepers, you can say how good goalkeepers are when they make great saves all the time. But the best goalkeepers are the ones that don't do nothing during a game, but make the big saves when it matters. And Raya has done more than that this season. He's made 3-point winning saves numerous times for us to get 3 points in a game. He is, without doubt, the best goalkeeper in the league at everything that he does. People talk about Donnarumma and they're outstanding. Alisson, they're all unbelievable goalkeepers. But he's gone to another level, Raya, and he will be up there for Arsenal's player of the year without a doubt. Because we always used to talk about, didn't we? A goalkeeper can win you 12 to 15 points in a season, which becomes crucial. So when you're chasing down a title, and he's been just as big as any of the other big name players we've got on our team, have got us where we are. Because without him, we ain't up there. He's. I remember all of us sitting there. Why have we signed him? Who is it? Who is this guy? But you got to hold your hands up and say, Arteta, what an absolute great call he's done, and look how good he is now. He's Spain's number one now, isn't he? I'm pretty sure he's in there as well. And if he isn't, well, he should be, because he's that good, that good. So, unbelievable.
And physically, he's not the most. What's the word I'm looking for? He's not the most daunting-looking keeper, is he? He's not like a massive.
No, he's not like Petr Cech, Van der Sar.
No, he's not. No, but he's a big lad. He ain't small.
Yeah, he's not small, but he's not like Courtois or Donnarumma. He's not like really physically imposing, but he just gets around the box really brilliantly.
Well, he's a lot more agile, isn't he, than them bigger goalkeepers you talk about. And some of the saves makes, it's like Spider-Man, isn't it?
Yeah.
But yeah, great point, Dan. To be fair, because obviously we're lauding Max Dowman, and by the way, we're talking about a 16-year-old. This boy was doing it at 15 at the beginning of the season, where he tore Newcastle apart in pre-season. Yes, he'll get all the plaudits, but fair play, Dan, for mentioning that, because without him today, we're 1 or 2 down, aren't we? So
without doubt, and I think he's, you think back to saves. You're right, Aid, to mention saves. I think the Brighton save, we beat them 2-1, but my God, that was a world-class save. That's 2-2. That's 2 points drops. So he's been outstanding, and I think in the world right now, I'll accept Courtois and Donnarumma and Alisson being mentioned in the same bracket as him, but I really don't see right now how any of them are levels on David Raya. I think he's right up there with the mentions of those, and that's a massive compliment to him, because they're ridiculously good goalkeepers that have been there and done it for the last 5-10 years. So I think he's been outstanding. But the thing is, Lee, I'll say this. I don't know what we're going to win this year. We can talk about that nearer the time, right? But I think David Raya, Timber, Saliba, Gabriel, Declan Rice, they're all going to get the mentions and the plaudits. And what's quite frustrating at the moment, and this could change, we're not really going to be able to put anyone forward from our attack that deserves to be in any form of team of the season or accolades for individual awards. And I don't know about you, but I'm hoping that changes in the coming months, because I need to see more from these individuals. We're talking about Max Dowman, and rightly so, but we should be talking about Dowman coming on and scoring on top of Saka already getting 15 goals this year, Martinelli, Eza, Havertz, Gyökeres. Fair play scored today, but I don't think Gyökeres will get in Team of the Year this season. I don't think that any of our front line will, and I don't think any of our attacking midfielders will. And when we win the league, which I hope we will, we usually do in the past go, well, that's Pires, Lundberg, Henry, Bergkamp, and Vieira all in Team of the Season. I don't think we can do that this season with our lot. And that kind of worries me a bit.
Why do you think, Dan?
I don't think the system wants him to allow us to play like that. I think he wants it to be.
It's also about our team set up against us, Dan. Everyone talks about it being us being boring, but teams set up against us so defensively because they know we tear them apart.
Absolutely spot on, eh? Absolutely spot on.
Yeah, it is teams.
I don't think enough people make that point.
We're talking about the front three that we saw. They're not done enough. They have done enough because they're doing the hard work. To try and break these teams down. Yes, they're not getting the numbers that they have in the past because teams aren't stupid. They know that the Sakas of the world, if you don't double up against him, he's going to tear you apart. Even the likes of our front line. Yes, we haven't got a prolific goal scorer, but you give Gyökeres a bit of time and space in the box, he's going to score. Teams don't do that. They set up so defensively against us because they know that we will tear them apart. And this is why everyone keeps going on about we're boring. It's absolutely rubbish. We're not boring. The other teams are boring because they're trying to stop us from playing.
100%.
And the fact is that we are, yes, it don't look good on the eye, but we are winning football matches because we are, our boys are relentless up front, putting them under pressure, trying to do the right things all the time. The amount of running teams have to do against us is ridiculous. You look at the stats on what teams, when they play against Arsenal, their running goes up by 2 or 3 miles per player because they're having to work really hard to try and stop us. And, we talk about Max Dowman coming on. This kid is a generational talent. He's got everything. But it also comes down to the fact that the boys in front of him, they're not doing what we all want to see in goals and dribbles and going past players and doing all that. They're doing the hard work to try and break teams down, to give the likes of Max Dowman when he comes on, to show his quality and get us over the line like he did today. I think we're just getting too much of a hard ride. And so the reason why we're getting a hard ride, lads, is simple, because these players haven't won nothing yet. Like if we get something over the line, if we win the Premier League, then all them players can say, I'm a Premier League winner. And it don't matter whether you're boring or not, whether people think that. We have to work bloody hard up front to break teams down. And the fact is our squad is that good now that we are able to bring players in that benefit from their hard work. Again, we all want to see him doing what they, the likes of Saka. I mean, personally with Saka, just get the captaincy away from the boy. Take it away from him and just let him do what he's doing. It's another burden on his shoulders that he doesn't need right now, because Odegaard's nowhere near the squad. Personally, I don't think he should be captain at all. He should be Declan Rice all day long.
I agree. I think everyone agrees that Odegaard and Saka as captains are a bit of a strange one. I guess, that's going to be on Arteta and the dressing room. The reason I bring it up, because there's a few people losing their heads in the chat about this for some reason. The reason I bring it up is because, look, I don't give a damn if we don't get anyone in team of the season. I don't care if Declan Rice don't get it. I don't give a damn about that. I want to just win the league. The reason I bring it up and playing a little bit of that devil's avocado with it, right, is could our attack have done more this season? And if the answer is absolutely not, they're all world class, so we couldn't do anything more, then I think I would say, yeah, do you know what? Fair play. It's just the way we're playing. I don't think that is the case. I do think that there's been games where I think we could have done a bit more. I look at Gabriel Martinelli against Brentford, he should have scored. I look at Gabriel Martinelli the other night, hit the crossbar, should have probably scored. I look at Gabriel Martinelli against Forest, he misses an open goal, should have scored. There's been opportunities where we've missed. There's been opportunities we've failed to shoot. There's been opportunities where Gyökeres has been failed to give the ball. We've not threaded it through to him, we've not crossed it. And I do think sometimes we're quite happy to sit at 1-0 and just hold it out And that's why we drew in the end to Brentford and we drew in the end to Wolves. So I do get what you're saying, Aid. I do think they do play differently against us, but we have to find a way to get across the line. But I do think there's also been games where the attack's not been quite firing all cylinders. But maybe it's just me. Maybe this is the best attack and it ain't just that. I don't know. I don't know.
I agree with you. It ain't been great and all that. But like, I watched it today. Look how many times Saka got the ball and 3 players around him. Then on the other side, 2 on Madueke, like, you know what I mean? And that continued all through the game, like, you know. But I will say this, 16 goals now Gyökeres has got. It's not bad for a flop.
I agree.
Not bad for a flop. You know what I mean? Like, at the end of the day, you know, you go back when I was playing as a youngster and going through it all that, like, if a striker got 15, 16 goals, you'd take that.
Of course you would.
You'd take that. You'd say, like, I'm happy with, you know, 15, 16. That's not a bad. In your first season, not bad. You know what I mean?
20 goals, you're talking about superstar status.
Yeah, it was so at the end of the day, I get that a lot. I do get what you're saying there. But listen, also, I think that you have to accept Haaland had 10 touches, Russ was saying, against Real Madrid the other day. Haaland's hardly got a kick today, like, you know what I mean? Teams now are setting up differently against teams. You know, it's the well-organised teams. You know what I mean? Like, everybody's got a player in there that would would probably get into the top 4 sides. And we have to go. At the end of the day, listen, you're going to have team of the year, right? Raya will probably be in it. Timber will probably be in it. The 2 central defenders will be in it, like, you know. The way Nketiah is going, he'll be in it. Declan Rice definitely in it. Zubamendi's been fantastic this season. Probably won't get in it, like, you know. So who cares? Who cares? You know, I mean, Trossard, by the way.
Who would be better than Zubamendi in the Premier League? Who would be better?
Well, I don't think there is, that, Russ. I'll tell you what, but this is what I'm saying. But they go, oh, Caicedo, he'll get it because he's the best, you know what I mean? Or somebody else, or whatever, you know, Szoboszlai will get in there or something like that.
Tonali or something, yeah.
Yeah, blah, 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 blah. But so what? Who cares? Who cares? Thierry Henry never won Ballon d'Or. You know what I mean? Who cares? You know what I mean? Like,
the thing is, lads, it's a team sport, and if you're the best team as a whole,
that's what's the most important thing.
Individuals are
exactly.
That's the most important thing. Like, people turn around. When you go on to listen, let's be honest, right? When they go pick player of the year, right? I guarantee you, right, that Bruno Fernandes will be in there, in and thereabouts. Like, yeah, he's played right against teams with no one playing banks of 4 and banks of 8 against him. Like, you know what I mean? He's like a bit out.
And he's had 1 game a week, Lee, remember?
1 game a week. He's also, you know, like, been on the losing side in so many of those games, but he'll be pushed forward. But when it really matters, under pressure and everything like that, that's when you got to perform. And we've got players that, you know, he ain't been glamorous, but Trossard at times has got us out of the hole on many occasions this season. Like, but he won't get in it. And at the end of the day, who cares? Who cares? I'm not really bothered about that. Like, you know what I mean? We are the best team.
It ain't so much the team of the season that I'm bothered about. I think people have got it a bit twisted.
Yeah, I know what you're saying. Totally.
Could our attack be a bit better is what I was looking at.
Yeah. But at the end of the day, you can't have it all, Dan. You can't be the best team. You can't be the best defensive team and have the best attack at times. You know what I mean? Because something's got to give. You know what I mean? Like next season, we might be a little bit more open and concede a few more goals.
I agree.
What is important this season is winning the league and getting over the line. And it's always the hard one. And, you know, you look back at it today, there's a great example of it today, how hard that was today to get through. And it needed a bit of magic. It needed magic to do it. And it come from a 16-year-old kid. You know what I mean? Like, but at the end of the day, it might come from Gyökeres the next game or Havertz the next game or whoever, like, you know. The thing is, we are a well-drilled team, well-coached, drilled side. Everybody knows exactly what they've got to do when going forward, and everybody knows exactly what they've got to do when they're going back. Today, I still see things where I'm, you know, like Eze, for instance. people are saying that he played well today and all that. Like, he done okay. You know what I mean? Like, but he never really took any risks. You know what I mean? Like, so
I didn't think he was,
the reason he's not
great
playing his
today.
Say again?
I didn't think he was great today, Eze. I didn't think
No,
he did
I
much.
didn't think it was great. Like, you know what I mean? But what I do,
He was
He's
safe.
done what he had to do.
he's safe.
Yeah,
Yeah, he's safe. You know what I mean? Like, I look at all of those players up front. Let's be methodical. Let's make sure we get. You know, how many times I say it like Eze had opportunity to shoot and he didn't. Maybe he's being told to keep the ball, wait for the opening. I don't know. So all those little things are in there. Arsenal are being methodical to try and win this title. Like, you know what I mean? They're going to get control of the game and go from there. And listen, that can come and bite you as it has done in the past, and it could have done today if things didn't go for it. But you know what else you need in football? I don't care what anybody says. You can have all the talent. You need a little bit of luck. We got it.
Yeah, we did.
The thing is, boys, sometimes this is where the pluckiness of youth comes in. Sometimes, you know, you don't want to be that front player that gives that ball away and you get counter-attacked and we lose the goal. You don't want to be that player. So you can understand why there's a bit of fear in our play sometimes up top. Although it's 80 yards from goal, you still don't want to give the opportunities away for a counter-attack. So you have to play methodical and you have to play safe at times and try and hope to break the team down without taking major risks. And that's where the joy of someone like Dowman coming on, because he hasn't got that fear factor. He's not got a reputation to worry about. He's just going to go and play the game like we all love to see it played, where you just take a player and beat him and put the ball in and we score. That's the beauty of youth. He hasn't got that fear factor. Saka was very much like this, weren't he, when he first played? He was fearless. Absolutely fearless.
I'll tell you, I'm telling you now, this boy, because he is a boy, let's get this right. He is unbelievable. That is how good. I've never seen a player. I mean, I'm 45 years old.
I agree.
I've seen the Fabregases of the world. That's a real. People might just destroy me in the chat for saying this, but if you look at the way Messi plays when he was exactly the same age, and the way he gets close control, the way he glides past players, I don't think it's fearless with him. I think it's just pure natural ability to be able to do what he does.
Confident.
He doesn't come across as this. I'm fearless. He just doesn't play like that. He just.
Lamine Yamal's doing it, didn't he? Lamine Yamal's been doing it, and he was doing it last year for Spain Club and Country. I think Dowman, looking at that, I mean, I know you mentioned Messi, and I'm with you. Like, I look at it and think, wow, you can mention anyone you want, but I think when you look at the players that have come through, he for me is the best I've seen at his age. And
unbelievable. You look at Jamie Redknapp. He's been pouring over this kid for a long time. Yeah, he just. He's a generational talent. I'm telling you now, he's that good. He's that good. He is. He makes decisions with when the ball's at his feet that none of us think he's going to do it. And that for a 15, 16-year-old, because we're doing it at 15 for Arsenal's first team. It's just about looking after this boy now. Everyone wants to see him play week in, week in out because of what he's done tonight. But let's just put the handbrake on a little bit here. We've had players like that before with Jack Wilshere, and bearing in mind, remember Jack Wilshere played in the middle of the park, like Fabregas was 10. It's a lot harder. He's already had a big injury. 3 months he was out for. I just don't want. Because he's that good, isn't he? He's that good, and now his reputation is going to go even further through the roof today, and the spotlight is going to be on him, and it's about looking after him, and him having a level head. But the way he plays football and the way he comes across, and when when the camera goes on the pitch, he looks like his head is in the right space, in the right place, got good people around him. Let's look after this kid, because I'm telling you now, he is head and shoulders of anything I've ever seen.
Facts.
15 years old. When he was at the beginning of the season, I remember that Newcastle friendly.
Yeah, it was unreal, wasn't it? Unbelievable.
And he put Joe Linton on his arse, and the way he carries the football and glides past players and puts players on their arse because they have no idea what he's going to do is unbelievable. You know, if
Do you know what?
you talk about 24-year-old doing this, Dan, you'll be saying, "Oh my God, best player in the world."
100%, 100%. Do you know what, Wade? Right, and Lee and Russ will know this. We speak to a lad who knows someone who is quite close to the youth setup, and he said, "Oh, this Dowman, he's better now than what Odegaard is, right?" And I remember thinking, "Oh, here we go, another bloody Charlie Patino, or another bloody Jan Crowley here, or J. Mamble Thomas, or Trua Lupoli. I've heard them all before. He ain't gonna do nothing." And then I watched him, and I looked at him, and I thought, "Oh, bloody hell, he is. He looks better than bloody anyone."
Well,
And now he's come on, and he's proved it.
Well, you also got we've got a young Wanyeri out on loan at the moment. Who no one even talks about him now, and that boy is top draw.
Yeah,
think about what he's done for us in the last seasons or so that he's been playing. Unfortunately, he can't get a look in, but he's got to come back into the squad. Now, I said it alongside. I remember I said it on a podcast about Wanyeri being Odegaard's successor in the middle of the park, and people were like, "Oh my God, trying to get Odegaard out at the time." But we've got two unbelievable players where we've got one in Max Dowman who's just a different level to anyone I've seen. But we've also got to remember Wanyeri as well. He's only 17.
It's crazy, isn't it? It's crazy to think. And I'm not Lewis-Skelly as well, still young. You know what I mean? So it's these three guys come through together. You normally get one every decade, not three at the same time. Do you know what I mean?
We've got three unbelievable, superstars. And I mean, I'm not saying Wanyeri and Miles Lewis-Skelly are going to become that superstar. I hope they do for us, because Wanyeri's class. He's top draw, but this kid, every time you watch it,
his levels on anything I've seen on. Honestly, it's scary how good he could be in a few years.
Scary is unbelievable. It's just pray, pray that we look after him.
Yeah, the worst ways round when Wanyeri and Skelly have saved us an absolute fortune in the transfer market, because they are excellent players. They would be like 25-30 million pound, 25-30 million pound players easy in today's market. So they've saved us a fortune anyway. And I think Wanyeri just needed a little bit of a break from the club, probably getting frustrated because Odegaard's in front of him. And he'll come back a better player for it. And
I agree.
Skelly had that breakthrough season where he was playing every game, weren't he? In an unorthodox position for him, and lit it up. And then as soon as the reinforcements came in, he's gone down the pecking order. So it's unlucky for him. It's a ruthless sport, football. So you've got to now reinvent yourself and try and get a space in the middle of the park where you were supposed to be in the first place.
Yeah, well, no one has a right to play football. Don't care whether you're 16 or 32 years old. No one has a right.
No.
At the end of the day, when they're young and they're that good, because we've got three players there that are that good for their age.
Yeah.
And one player who's just, I can't applaud this kid because he's just a kid. How it's just the way you watch him. And Lee will tell you when we used to coach, we had players at that level that were, that were too good for the level that we coached at, Lee, weren't they? You think, and off they go. They like the Stephen Cawleys of the world. You know what I mean? And no matter what level you play at, there are players that you work with that are that next level. And Max Dowman and Wanyeri, for their age, are at a level that you can't say any other 17, 16 and 17-year-old is in the Premier League right now. But it's just about keeping their heads straight, keeping them fit. And, and Arteta, to be fair, he's managing them really well. What an, exciting, like you say, I totally agree with you, Dan, not just one player like Max Dowman coming through. We've got, 2 or 3 here. Yeah. No one even talks about Wanyeri at the moment. But
no.
The future's very, very bright for Arsenal, and I can't. I'm lost for words. I texted you all boys earlier, didn't I? Said Max Dowman. I have no words.
The thing is, Aid, that people like Skelly and Wanyeri, they're only sort of 18 and 19, aren't they now? They've got time on their hands. They've got another 5 years to make their way here, and they'll get their chances. It's a development yet.
Name me an 18-year-old well, you can a 16, 17, 18-year-old, even 19-year-old in the Premier League right now, who's doing what our boys are doing when they play.
I think there's the lad, probably the lad at Liverpool, isn't there?
Rio, that's it. Yeah.
That's him. I'm really struggling after that.
And then Esteval at Chelsea, but I mean, he's still got
he's a bit hit and miss, isn't he?
Yeah, he has been. He is quality, but he has
Savio,
been hit and miss.
Savio at City, he was a bit hit and miss.
No, he's terrible. I don't rate him.
What you got to remember here, they're playing in the best team in the land right now.
Yeah.
Yeah,
you know?
Exactly.
And
exactly.
it's all right if you're playing for the teams lower down the league where you're going to get more chances. But these boys are making a difference against teams that are setting up in the low blocks that we have. And it's just so bloody exciting. And seeing what I saw today with Dowman, it's just, oh God. Yeah,
no, he's running. We'll run out of superlatives for him by the end of the season, I'm sure. But let's come to a close on this, right? Lee, I'll start with you, and I'll quickly get the boys. We've got 2 massive games against Leverkusen and then City in the cup final. And we've got to try and keep the players fresh. How are we going to do that, Lee?
Well, obviously, I think Timber's out now. Looks like he's out for a while. Going to be out for a while. Ridiculous decision. This is something that we got to.
Crazy.
I don't really want to be negative on that, but that was a ridiculous decision. He got trod on his ankle, and it was obviously like playing him up. They trying to continue, and by doing that, then he's gone and done his groin. You know what I mean? So that's probably put him out for a little while. Listen, I think that he's been used too much. The reason being that Ben White's not been fit, but like this is it now for Ben White. Ben White's not been available for the last few weeks, but he could now come in and see us through to the end of the season. I think like big risk bringing him in for the game because Mosquera's done well back there, but he is the right back. If he's fit, he plays, so we can do that. I'd keep the back four. So I think Nketiah comes back in. I thought Calafiori done very, very well today. Good game for him today. I didn't think he was great at Mansfield last week, but he proved his worth today. So and the thing is, I look at that. You put in Calafiori, and let's be honest, Nketiah has been outstanding. Right? There's no drop off. There's no drop off in that position. So we need to get that in other areas. I think that on the left-hand side, I'll bring back Martinelli for this game. And I would play Gyökeres up top. Saka needs to kick his gear into that. You know what I mean? Like, I think at the end of the day, if he has another performance like that, you're going to have to say Noni's going to be it for me. I think that maybe Mikel put Noni out there so that he didn't play well today, so that he didn't have to drop Saka. But I would play Havertz on Tuesday in the role of Wanyeri as well. Not Wanyeri in place of Eze. I just don't think Eze, for me, is doing enough in that role. I don't think so. And I think
Do you think we should consider now sticking Saka into that more central role?
No, not my opinion. No.
We're
talking about Saka not playing well, but we know he can. He'll have a game where he will.
Yeah, and the other thing is, what I don't like, and it's being said of a lot of players, like, oh, he's not playing well, so we're trying shoehorn him in another position, you know what I mean?
The only reason I'm saying that because he just seems to have lost that little half a yard of pace, which you need to be a winger. I just think he's lost that. That's why he's cutting.
I don't think he's lost it. Players are on him straight away now. They're not giving him the time and the space. And also, I think Ben White's relationship with Saka when they play as well, it's not quite. I mean, Timber's outstanding. Don't get me wrong, he's out 100% our number one right back. But I do think he's missed him. And the players go up and down. And like when your cards are marked as a great player, which you give Saka room, he's going to do what he does. Yeah. But you've only got to look at the last couple of games that have been analysed on Match of the Day. As soon as he gets the ball, 1, 2, 3 players on him straight. 3 players in the Leverkusen game, all game they're on him straight away. Noni comes on, he hasn't got 3 players on him straight away. He's got 1 or 2, and he's able to do what he did and come on and have a really good game. But that's like Lee, I totally agree with you. It's the levels that they don't. It doesn't drop. like it used to. And when we lost Saliba and we lost Partey and players like that, when we, right at the business end of the season where it really mattered, we didn't have the players to come in and keep that level where it should be to try and get us over the line. 100% you're correctly. The levels don't drop in most positions now. The levels don't drop, and that's why.
Listen, I think with Saka, I think that he's had a couple of bad games. You know what I mean, but you know what he can do. You know what I mean, at the end of the day, even when he had those 3 players around him, how many times have you seen him cut inside and smash it in? This time around, he's cutting inside and it's getting blocked, or it's just going wide, or whatever. I think he's got to come good. If he doesn't, Nonny's putting him under pressure.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? I thought that was a poxy decision today. Nonny's put him under pressure in the last 2 games. Where? At right side of the team.
I agree. I couldn't believe he put him on the left. It was ridiculous.
That wrong. You know what I mean? So listen, people saying Saka's been poor for months. Probably, I don't say that.
He's not been poor. He's not been poor. He's just not.
He's not been at the levels that he's set
last year because
and so probably because of the injury. The injury. I don't think he's got his confidence as much as his body age. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I totally agree, but it's also the way team set up against him.
It's not poor, is it? It's ineffective. He's looked ineffective rather than poor.
Yeah, well, because he's put himself on a level.
There's other positions I'm worried about more than those. The ones we're talking about, you just chop and change who you want. 1 week it's in, 1 week it's another. The 4 I'm worried about are the 4 that seem to have now going to have to play about 8 or 9 games in a row. And that's Saliba, Gabriel, Zubimendi and Rice. I don't know why Norgard and Lewis-Skelly ain't been getting any game time, but Zubimendi looks absolutely red-zoned and does not look anywhere near as effective as he did in the first half of the season. Declan Rice worries the hell out of me anytime he goes down like he did today. And I see Gabriel and Saliba, anytime they go down, I feel the same. And I don't know, do you boys think them 4 will play every single game now to the end of the season?
Of course they will. We're at the business end of the season. I said it in a couple of podcasts.
But do you think they can, though, Gage? Do you think they can? Are they going to get injured? That's massive.
Well, listen, they won't play.
It's all lifts and butts. They're fit at the moment. It's all lifts and butts. They're fit at the moment and they play. Get us over the line.
They're ever rest against Southampton, you know what I mean? Some of these players, you know.
Yeah, they have to. They have to.
It depends on game state as well, don't it? If we're like pissing the game against by Leverkusen, and then he can bring Norgard on and give one of them 2 a rest. But if it goes to 5 minutes from the end and we're still 1-1, and then obviously we've got to keep our best players to try and win the game.
Yeah.
So,
or just got to take it game by game, try and manage it game by game now, you know what I mean? But, at this moment in time, the Southampton game is one game where I don't want to say, go gunno and rest everybody, but you can rest a couple of the big guns in that game.
I'd rest those 4, though. Those 4 would be rested for me.
Yeah, exactly that. That's what I would do. Rest those 4, yeah.
Yeah, 100%.
They will. I think they will be. But you don't mess about now. The league's our bread and butter. This league and the Champions League is where you don't start chopping and changing. You keep them where they've got us here. They've got us here, haven't they? So they've just got to see us through.
Yeah.
Look, he's going to have to refresh it and keep it rotated for those Southampton games, as you're saying. He's going to have to keep it refreshed in Premier League games as well. Get to 1-0, 2-0, take them off, get 20 minutes rest in their legs, bring on Norgard, Lewis-Skelly. I think we're going to have to do that, So, yeah, it'll be interesting. But look, it's been a good show. It's been a nice show. It's been a buzzing show. I've been glad. Gunnar Russ, always a pleasure. Aid, absolute legend for coming on. Appreciate you, boys. Make sure you hit like and subscribe on this one, people. We'll be back later on in the week. And judges, I'll let you say goodbye to everyone, mate.
If I had a hammer, I'd hammer in the morning. I'd hammer in the evening. All over this world. Have a lovely weekend, guys.